All right, guys, we've got our NFL Week 10 recap. We're going to go ahead and take a look at how all the games went, how we're going to look at them going forward, and what we need to look at for these teams going forward as we kind of come to the back half of the season here. And so let's jump into it. We've done a couple of these now, and we'll start here on the Thursday game. Bengals at Ravens. Ravens win this one 35-34. Really entertaining game. Bengals get out to a really good start. Ravens kind of claw their way back in it. Take the lead late. Bengals really couldn't do a ton in that fourth, though they drive down the field, have a chance to win the game. Can't on the 2-point conversion. Ravens win that one. Jamar Chase went nuts in the game. He went for like 262, I think it was. Ravens still have a problem in the secondary. It's not like, wow, the Ravens are awful, but the secondary is a bit of an issue. Bengals continue to do what they do every week. They play well on offense, it feels like, and the defense doesn't do anything, and, it is what it is. I mean, looking at the numbers that Burrow, Chase, the offense have put up all season long, you're wondering how this team has 4 wins. So is everyone else, I would think. This is probably a 6-7 win team, really, and here we are at 4-6, and we'll see if they can go ahead and get a couple of those back. As we said, the offense is good. They need the defense to step up sometimes. It'd be nice to get T. Higgins back as well when that eventually happens, if that happens. So, it is with the Bengals. As we said with the Ravens, offense continues to roll. As we said, defense, okay. Secondary has problems, and I worry that may be what kind of knocks them out going forward into the playoffs and stuff like that. But for the moment, the offense continues to carry. Lamar continues to play at an MVP level. And, not much more to say there. These two seem to play great games every single time they meet, and that's the second one this year that's been really, really good. Bengals will feel hard done by, not coming out with any wins out of these two. But they do, 0-2, and not really great, and they're going to need to, be almost flawless. To have a chance at the playoffs going on to the rest of the season there. Ravens, on the other hand, in a good spot. They play the Steelers next week. We'll see if, they split with the Steelers. Kind of think they're going to win the division. Though the 1 seed's probably out of reach. So, we're looking like a 2 or a 3 seed here for Baltimore. And kind of status quo the rest of the way. Next we have Giants-Panthers. This finishes 20-17. Panthers in overtime. Panthers were in control for most of the game. Chuba Hubbard played really, really well. Bryce Young did enough. Giants kind of crawl their way back in the fourth quarter there, get it to overtime, get the ball first, and then fumble on the first play of overtime. Panthers kick the field goal to win the game. It's not much to discuss here. Again, defense for the Panthers I'm not in love with, though they played all right today. Giants offense kind of stagnant. Neighbors is still good. Tracy, they look like they found a running back there. I think he went in the 4th round, 5th round last draft. So it's nice to have a good running back on a rookie deal going forward. Daniel Jones did not play well. This might be his last game probably as a Giant, mainly because of that injury clause that's in there. If he gets hurt and misses a certain amount of time or whatever it is, next year is fully guaranteed. And I think the Giants would like to get out of his contract this summer if they can. So I expect him to not play anymore just because of that. Their season's done. Panthers season's done as well, but I think the Giants just move on to Drew Lock just for the money reasons. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't. But as I said, it's going to be a money thing now, and it's going to be a contract thing going forward there. As I said, there are a couple bright spots here in the Giants. Neighbors. The D-line's pretty good when they're all healthy. In terms of pass rush, Okereke is good. As we said, the 2 pieces on offense. The offensive line's been much better this year when Andrew Thomas has been healthy. But yeah, they're still a long way away. As for the Panthers, as we said, rebuild mode here. Not expecting Bryce Young to keep this job. I expect him to go quarterback in the draft. Should that, they keep winning, they might push themselves out of that. There's so many teams down there now that are like 2-6, 3-7, or 3-6, 2-7 in that area. Panthers moved to 3-7 there, so we'll see, but not a ton to look at in this football game. Patriots at Bears. Patriots win this one 19-3. Interesting stuff continues to come out of Chicago. Caleb Williams is regressing. As simple as that. The offensive line is an absolute mess, which doesn't help, but he's jittery in the pocket. He's missing open throws, rushing, holding on to the ball too long. It's every play, it's seemingly something different and something weird. As I said, some plays he's rushing, some plays he's holding on to the ball too long, some plays he's missing wide open guys, some plays he doesn't have time to do anything with the offensive line. So it's not ideal here. They fire Shane Waldron, who shouldn't have been hired in the first place, probably. I mean, there were warning signs out of Seattle with Waldron. Not exactly gone to plan for them, but, not ideal. I think it's Thomas Brown who's going to call plays. He didn't call plays that well in Carolina, but again, the team wasn't that great over there either. So we'll see going forward. I think they need to fire the coach too. We played under 7.5 before this game because I thought there was a chance they could lose this game. They did lose this game. I'm finding it hard to believe they get to 8 wins from here on out. But yeah, it's really not looking good. That Brisker situation's weird. That seems like a really, really bad concussion type thing. It's one of those things where career threatening type. He shouldn't have gone back into that game that day. Did, and right after felt the symptoms still and hasn't seen the field in God knows how. I think it's like 40 days or something like that. So yeah, not good there. And they were missing Sweat comes in and out of the team last couple of weeks as well. So it's kind of just falling apart a little bit. There's a hint of quit in this team. As for the Patriots, a little bit feisty now. They've got, Drake May's come in and, been okay. I don't want to get ahead of myself on Drake May. He flashes really nice, but down to down, it's not really that good. Offensive line's not good, and the receiving weapons aren't good either. So, we're kind of living with that situation there too. But I don't want to get ahead of myself on Drake May because I still think there are plenty of things to grow with here. And I want to kind of pull back the reins on Drake May a little bit. Maybe is a better way to write that or say that. So we'll see. But yeah, another win for the Patriots, who continue to be feisty, as we said, and the Bears seem to be falling off a cliff and going away from it there. Bills at Colts. Bills win this one 30-20. Really weird game here. Flacco, 2 early picks. Bills go up 10-0. Colts kind of work their way back into this 13-10. And then right before half, 10 quick points out of the Bills. They go in 20-13 up, and then it's 30-13, and not ideal going forward from there. So it felt like the Colts, after a really bad start, would work their way back into this game, and they did. But yeah, just too many turnovers, too many 3-and-outs. Josh Allen did enough. He didn't really play particularly well. The offense didn't play particularly well for either team. For the Bills, though, a couple picks, 3 picks for Flacco. As we said, he started out with 2, had 1 late where they were kind of trying to get back into it. So an interesting game. Bills didn't have to do a ton here. But they come away with the win in a tough spot on the road. And probably a bit of a look ahead spot as they have the Chiefs coming next and the San Francisco 49ers coming next. So, they get out with a win. Easy as that. Colts go back to Anthony Richardson. That's been announced already. Weird situation over there. I'm under the impression that call to bench Richardson and bring Flacco in was done by Irsay. I find it hard to believe that Steichen, my cat over there climbing stuff. I find it hard to believe that Steichen, his job was in a point where he needed to get to the playoffs. I feel like Irsay just wants a playoff game there with Indianapolis and kind of wants them to be better than they are. But it's just not the case. Anthony Richardson will get himself some run in the team till the end of the season, it looks like. And we'll see where he goes from there. I'm still not a huge believer in Anthony Richardson. I think his short and medium stuff isn't good enough to be an NFL quarterback long term. But again, you can't. Nothing wrong with playing him and going from here. It's not like they're losing anything by not playing him. So interesting spot, interesting game, but in the end, Bills come away with a win. Broncos at Chiefs. Chiefs win this one 16-14. Chiefs blocked the field goal right at the end of the game, a 33-yarder maybe, 30-yarder. Broncos would have won the game if they kicked the field goal. Interesting game. It was relatively even. Chiefs just didn't execute in the red zone. This feels like one of those things where like the good team just doesn't execute in the red zone, and the worse off team kind of keeps it close, and they're ahead most of the time, and Chiefs take it late when they eventually kind of just get it clicking. In the red zone, they score that touchdown relatively late. Bo Nix looked pretty good. He continues to kind of grow, which is nice. The offense looked okay at times, early on especially. That drive at the end of the game was really good. I think there was 6-7 minutes left, and they kind of ate it all up with that final drive for the field goal. Unfortunate the field goal gets blocked, but you do everything you can on offense there. And those 2 drives in the first half that led to touchdowns. So interesting game. It's hard for me to quantify this game because I don't think the Broncos were like better than the Chiefs or anything. I think that if the Chiefs like get a touchdown once when they get into the red zone early on in the game instead of kicking a field goal or 2, those are touchdowns, and it's interesting to quantify that because obviously you got to score touchdowns when you get down there, but also kind of just on like a down-to-down basis. That's more, a lot of the times that's more just variant, really. So, they get a touchdown early in that game instead of a field goal, and I think the Chiefs kind of win this one comfortably, and I think that's how tight the margin was in this game. So, interesting. As I said, I'm still not a huge believer in the Broncos. I think when the defense gets caught a little bit, I think they have a hard time keeping up. Chiefs, on the other hand, continue to kind of just do what they need to do to win games. They go to Buffalo next week. We'll see what that's like. Should be an interesting one. On to the next one, Falcons at Saints. Saints win this one 20-17. Interesting. They get a little bit of a new coach bounce here. The Saints, Falcons, not super up to it. I thought they were the better team mostly, but just not super up to it. In the end, couldn't quite, get things clicking in a way. Not a ton to glean from this game. I'm pretty set in my ways with Atlanta. They can't get pressure. The defense is going to have a hard time down to down. The offense is good enough to score points some days, but if they get caught a little bit like they did today, only put up 17, probably not going to win the football game knowing the defense. And as for the Saints, similar. Not in love with the defense. Played all right today. Offense is okay. Missing pieces, will continue to miss pieces going forward. Not a huge buyer on the Saints going forward. Not a huge buyer on the Falcons going forward either. So I think these two teams are kind of set in their ways from here to the rest of the season. I'm not sure how much change you could possibly see from either of them going forward. But, not something you love out of Atlanta losing that game, but the schedule's so easy going forward that it's probably not going to matter in the long run. 49ers at Bucks. Niners win this one 23-20. Niners were the better team pretty much all the game. Moody missed a couple kicks. They had that weird little fight over there, Debo and him and the I think it was the long snapper or maybe the holder. I think it was the snapper though. Bit of a tiff over there. But yeah, Niners were the better team all along. And, end up coming away with the win, though. It was a little bit tighter, and you had to do a couple things late in the game to get it there. They were the better team. McCaffrey came back, looked good in the pass game, did not look good in the run game. I think it was 12, 13 carries for under 40 yards. I don't know how to describe how he was running with the football on runs. It kind of felt like he's been out for a while and he's trying to get his legs back, and that's what it looked like, trying to get his legs back. Acceleration was a little bit slow and cuts were a little bit clunky and stuff like that, but I imagine that kind of gets going as the season goes along. Baker continues, to do what he can with his supporting cast. It's not a good supporting cast right now. They'll get Mike Evans back at some stage. He made that crazy play, kind of just holding off Bosa and moving laterally and then making that throw on the drive that tied the game. Genuinely incredible play, but as I said, we said this 2-3 weeks ago, and it continues to be the case. There's only so much he can do, and he's been doing it pretty much every week. and they're still not coming up with wins, which is the problem here. The defense continues to be a problem. As I said, the Niners moved the ball easy today. Purdy had another good game. So it's interesting going forward. We'll see. Their schedule lightens up a little bit, Tampa Bay. So we'll see if they can stockpile a couple of wins going forward and maybe kind of make a push here. Problem is the NFC has a decent amount of good teams here. So I don't know. They're going to have to... Can they take the division from the Falcons? I'm not sure. They're not going to play the Falcons again. Falcons beat them twice. Is there a wild card spot here? I'm not sure. You know, you got... how many teams you got out there? You got Washington, Philadelphia. That's a wild card spot. And then you're looking at wild card spots for what? Minnesota and Green Bay, probably. And the division winner there. You're going to have to take one from one of them. And I'm not super sure that we can, or that they can find a way through into the playoffs unless they win the division. And as I said, Falcons have a really easy schedule. They've got the lead. It'll be really tough for Tampa Bay. As I said, schedule lightens up, and there's a chance they can go on a run for sure. Defense is just not very good, and can it hold enough while Mike Evans is gone? He should be back soon, but it's tough right now for Tampa Bay going forward. Probably the second best game after the Ravens game, I suppose. They were a decent amount of good games this week. Steelers at Commanders. Steelers win this one 28-27. This was a really interesting one. Fun one. Steelers were really good early. They go 7-0 up. Force some punts out of the Commanders. Then they call that fake punt, which was great. It was a great play. Guy just couldn't catch it. Wide open, drop. Commanders, grab it there, grab the quick touchdown, and the offense kind of woke up a little bit. They go up 24-14, but never really killed the game off. And I feel like the Commanders are kind of doing that quite a bit lately, where they've getting chances to kill games off, and they're really not doing it. 3 points late, even after the Steelers turned the ball over twice late in that game. But the Steelers held in, won the football game, and they continue to win games in very weird fashion. And my Steelers take will be the same for the rest of my life, apparently. It's been the same for 2-3 years. It's been the same this year. Steelers continue to win, though they don't ever look particularly great doing it. And then they get to the playoffs and get trounced in round one, and that just seems to be the way things go with Pittsburgh. But again, Russell Wilson opens this offense up a little bit more than you get with a Justin Fields. The run game looks better. Pickens continues to make absolutely insane catches. His touchdown catch was unbelievable. I mean, really, really unbelievable the way it has turned his body there to locate the football. Absolutely crazy catch. But you also kind of get weird things. You get, sacks here and there, not so great sacks. But as I said, Russ is playing well, continues to play well, and if the offense is playing well, the defense has stops in them. I think the defense is a little bit overrated as of right now, but there's plenty of talent on there to get stops, and the offense is a little bit better than it has been for a little bit. So, interesting stuff, interesting game. Commanders feel like they're hitting the wall a little bit, is probably a good way to put that. The offense, I was never really a huge believer in Cliff Kingsbury. Started the year really well, and it's slowed down a little bit, the play calling. Jaden Daniels is dealing with a rib thing, and you can kind of see it. Just got finished watching the Eagles-Commanders game just now, and he's still dealing with that rib thing on a short week, which is going great today, but the offense has kind of stalled a little bit here and there. So it's interesting what happens with the Commanders going forward. I think they've just hit a little bit of a wall, and that's natural on a team like this where you're overperforming and kind of growing with a young quarterback, especially who's playing really well. You're bound to hit a wall somewhere, and it seems like they've hit it just a little bit here. But the schedule is really nice to end the season. I'd be surprised if this team misses I'd be really surprised if this team misses the playoffs from here on out. Division's not necessarily out of play either, but as I said, it's tough to overcome a 2-game lead now. But again, defense is playing a little bit better, offense is playing a little bit worse, and that's kind of just coming down just a little bit for the Commanders. Vikings at Jaguars, really weird game this one. Vikings move the ball up and down the field pretty much at will. Jags didn't do anything all game, really. Sam Darnold just kept throwing interceptions, and on the opposite side of the field, he had 3. They had a lot of weird drive enders and stuff like that. If this game ended 28-7, it wouldn't have really been out of the realm of what it should have been. No touchdowns, 4 field goals, 3 interceptions in, as I said, in the red zone, or 2 in the red zone at least. 3 total on that side of the field. Just a really weird game, and you can kind of chalk it up to weird stuff. We've talked about Darnold a little bit the last couple weeks. He's kind of slowing himself down a little bit as teams kind of, pressure him a little bit more and stuff like that. But, the defense is still decent. I think it's got cracks still, but they played Mac Jones today. And, as we go forward, we'll see with the Vikings defense. As I said, the good teams have exploited it as of late. They've played 3 or 4 top half defenses, or 3 top half offenses, and given up 31, 30, and 29. So the good offenses are scoring points. Bad offenses are not, and then bad quarterbacks are not. But it seems like the good quarterbacks are kind of just carving it a little bit. And if Darnold is kind of flawed, it's tough to see them winning playoff games with that kind of formula. But we'll see. As for the Jaguars, we'll see with Trevor Lawrence. He's probably going to miss some more time. I would shut him down personally, but the Mac Jones experiment probably doesn't go particularly well from here on out. They're missing pieces on offense too. Sold their left tackle last week, and they're a week or 2 ago, and I don't expect a ton out of the Jaguars going forward. Titans at Chargers. Chargers win this one 27-17. Interesting game. Chargers were the better team. Moved the ball fine. Defense was pretty good. I thought the Titans moved the ball like down to down okay. But you get you get a bad sack out of Levis and the drive ends kind of stuff, and that just happens too much with Will Levis. We've been talking about it for a while, but this is the stretch now where the Chargers come up. They're going to play 4 or 5 good offenses in a row, and we'll see how good they really are. I believe they play the Bengals next at home, and we're kind of just going to see where things tumble on with the Chargers going forward. Not much to say on this game overall. Eagles at Cowboys, another one. Don't have to say a ton. Eagles win this one 34-6. Slow start, and then Eagles took over in the second half, and that was that. Jalen Hurts just kind of looks not great right now. Started the first half slow again. Second half, as I said, was fine from them, really good. Cowboys, on the other hand, you're not going to get anything. This may be a Trey Lance kind of team going forward. Cooper Rush was really bad. The defense is really bad. Defense is missing bodies. There's no pass rush. There's no resistance whatsoever on the defense. And the offense really has a whole lot of no offensive line, no run game, backup or third string quarterback. So I don't expect a whole ton out of the Cowboys going forward. Eagles, on the other hand, continue to kind of move forward a little bit under the radar, I suppose. Jets at Cardinals. Cardinals win this one 31-6. Not ideal. That might be the Jets season right there. Cardinals continue to play well. As simple as that. Offense was clicking in this game. I'm not sure what's happened to the Jets defense. Sauce has taken like a step back, or I don't want to say a step back, but he's not playing well. Hasn't played well all season. You can run all over this Jets defense. Offense is just disconnected. Didn't expect a jump in the offense when they fired Hackett or moved Hackett down and moved the other guy up, because the other guy can't play call either. And this is kind of just where we are with the Jets. There's talent everywhere, just not working. Aaron Rodgers played poorly again. He seems like he's coming to the end of it, or has been for a little bit now. So, Jets falling apart. Cardinals on the ascendancy, and they really ate it up today. Even the defense played pretty well. I'm still under the impression this Cardinals defense is not good, and this is kind of a bottom 10 unit, and I think it's a bottom 10 unit going forward. But Jets not able to exploit that, and the offense continues to click. Kyler Murray's playing the best he's played his whole career, really, right now. Marvin Harrison looking good. The run game looks good, and they continue to play well going forward, and I believe they lead in the division on a tiebreak right now. So interesting stuff going forward with the NFC West and the Cardinals. We got two more here. Lions at Texans. Lions win this one 26-23. This was a weird football game. 7 picks. Goff throws 5, I believe 4 in the first half. Texans go into the half up, 23-7, I think it was. And then don't score a point the rest of the game. We've talked about this offense before, and they got a ton of good field position in this game here. But the game never really fell over because Lions still can move the football. And I understand Goff threw 5 picks, obviously, but the football was moving okay in certain spots. In the second half, it was moving comfortably. They got the turnovers they needed in the second half. The kicker by half an inch twice on different sides of the goalposts. He even walks one off there. Just a really weird game. I didn't even think the defenses played particularly well. I just thought a lot of those picks were great, really just horrible throws. Period. Goff had 2 or 3 just what in the world are you doing picks. Stroud had that one that got picked in the end zone, which was a what on earth are you doing pick. Had that pick at a halftime. It was a very, very strange game. Tough to quantify, but we've talked about these two teams before. I'm still slightly worried about the Lions defense. Texans, the defense looks good still. But the offense continues to be a problem. Simple as that. The interior of the offensive line is really, really bad. Not having weapons is obviously a huge problem. Stroud is not playing particularly well, even outside of some of the stuff he does, and the play calling continues to be really, really bad. So, yeah, interesting. Texans aren't going to get caught in their division, so I expect them to be the 4, but I wouldn't be surprised if they drop to the 5 in the playoffs and they're a first round exit here. I'm not seeing a ton I love out of Houston right now. Lions, on the other hand, they turn the ball over 5 times and win the game. They'll feel pretty good. This is a team that's going to chase the 1 seed in the NFC and continue to stockpile wins and look good doing it most of the time. As I said, offense moves the ball fine. Goff had one of them games. He's had one of those all season, and they still won the football game. So interesting stuff, but as I said, I think these two teams are kind of set in stone where they are currently. This was an interesting one to end the night. On Monday, Dolphins at Rams. Dolphins win this one 23-15. This was an interesting game. Dolphins defense really came to play. They were getting to Stafford a lot. Offensive line was not playing particularly well for the Rams. And then the offense did enough. Still some weird turnovers in this game as well. It's a couple of games in a row where you're kind of watching and you're like, what on earth is even happening in this football game? But yeah, another one like that. These two guys know each other, obviously. But if the defenses felt like that, when you're watching a football game and you're like, offenses should be okay here. And you're watching it and you're like, oh, maybe these two just know each other that well. And, none of the screens were working for Miami early. They kind of Rams took Achane out of the game almost completely. But the Dolphins do enough here, grab the win. Can they make a playoff push? Take a lot. They're going to have to win kind of out pretty much. They got the Raiders next, should win that one. But now that everyone's back and healthy and kind of pushing forward, we'll see if they can. If the defense can play that good the rest of the season, they'll be difficult to beat. I'm not so sure the defense is this good. Tyreek's still dealing with the wrist thing, which is a problem. He's mentioned it before. He said they talked about surgery today, I believe it was. So I'm not so sure he gets healthy at any stage. Rams, on the other hand, below 500 now. They're going to have to win games. It's a tough, as we said, the NFC is really tough. The division's really tough. They're going to have to win some games going forward here. They go to New England next. That is a must-win for their season, and I do think they can win that game. But, yeah, interesting game. They just weren't on it offensively today, and it cost them. Simple as that. Dolphins, on the other hand, get a good win on the road in primetime. So those are our Week 10. Hopefully we get some good games coming this week, get some good bets. Some of our futures look good. Some of them don't. We have our under 7.5 for the Bears. That looks really good. Under 9.5 for the Seahawks. Continues to look good, though they didn't play this week. we got some other ones that don't look good. Cowboys to finish in the wild card. That's probably not going to happen now, obviously. And then kind of just some player props going forward. Some look good. Neighbors over catches looks great. You had another 9 in that Carolina game, I think, or 6. 9 the week before, 6 this week. Broncos points under looks good. They continue to be competitive and not score a ton of points. So yeah, we got a couple things that look good. Eagles division looks good all of a sudden now. And then we got a couple things that don't look particularly good. So we'll see at the end of the season. But yeah, on to next week, week 11. That's it for now.